and gentlemen, welcome, welcome. Come on in and get comfortable. And thank you for joining us on New Mu Zeta's final evening of Finer Womanhood. Before we begin, I invite you to grab a pen and a paper or your favorite notebook. Tonight, we'll be sharing golden nuggets, practical tools, and insights to support your health your wellness journey. Our hope is that these nuggets will spark small changes and that those small changes, practiced daily, will create meaningful transformations by the time Final Womanhood 2027 rolls in. Next slide, please. Well, welcome. Tonight's presentation is on Trust Your Gut, Health and Wellness Live Event, hosted by New Mu Zeta Chapter, Des Moines, Iowa. My name is Vonnie Stewart Kai, and I will be your host tonight. Next, please. However, um, as I share this, tonight would not be possible without the dedication, the determination, and persistence persistence and for the founders of the Five Pearls of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, who established the sorority based on the principles of scholarship, service, sisterhood, and finer womanhood. These ladies are Arizona Cleaver Stimmons, Pearl Anna Neal, Myrtle Tyler Faithful, and Viola Tyler Goings, and Fanny Patty Watts. With everything that we do, including the way that we govern ourselves, these ladies of legacies help us to care for ourselves and for each other. The Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Des Moines, Iowa. This is our Health and Wellness Live event. And thank you to Dr. Stacy N.C. Grant, International President, Danae Johnson, Midwestern Regional Director, Michelle Talbert, Iowa Nebraska State Director, and Paula Bell, New Mu Zeta Chapter President, has made this possible to share this evening with you. Next slide, please. Before we begin, I just wanted to tell you the why for this event. This presentation grew out of a heartfelt conversation between my sister, Savitri Frizzell, our guest speaker tonight, and me after attending my very first Boule in 2024. While there, I noticed many sorors relying on wheelchairs or experiencing mobility challenges and difficulty standing and walking for long distances, or even moving comfortably through long days of events. As I shared my observations with my sister, a pattern soon began to emerge. We recognized connections between mobility, challenges, structural alignment, and gut related issues and sensitivities all help. We wanted to have determine the pattern that inspired this deep need of what could be going on with the women that were experiencing these things. So we are here tonight expecting everyone not to make drastic changes or overwhelming changes, but instead we hope to encourage gentle shifts. So just turning a dial just a little bit, small consistencies can make a big difference and have powerful improvements over time. With that, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Savitri Frizzell is a nationally respected holistic health practitioner. She's an educator, a pioneer in therapeutic bodywork with more than 50 years of experience in movement, education, pain relief, and integrated wellness. Her career began in early childhood education before expanding into the healing arts, becoming a licensed massage therapist in 1977, a yoga instructor in 1980, and a neuromuscular massage therapist in 1987. She later served on the national board of the American Massage Therapy Association, helping shape professional standards across the country. In 1993, Savitri developed ACE, Access Correct Alignment Pain, a therapeutic system focused on identifying root causes of pain and restoring functional movement. She continues this work at her Neuromuscular Massage Pain and Nutrition Center in San Antonio, Texas. Her global studies include advanced Qigong training in China and extensive training in isovac and mokinetics. In 2007, she founded the San Antonio Massage Institute, where she continues to mentor and train practitioners. Across decades of teaching, clinical practice, and innovation, Savitri remains dedicated to helping individuals reduce pain, restore balance, and achieve long term wellness through integrative, evidence informed therapeutic approaches. We're grateful to have her here with us today, and we'll know you'll gain some valuable insights from her deep experience and compassionate approach. Savitri, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for the invite. It is my pleasure to be able to take some simple concepts and have us look at them differently with a deeper respect. There is so much information on wellness, it becomes overwhelming for various individuals to really s- put their, like they would say, put their foot in the water. You
Mhm.
just don't know where to start. However, every person that I have an opportunity to work with, I try to have them connect with what is natural. How does any possible change relate to your body? As we age, I think all of you can admit that you may find yourself saying or looking at individuals and saying, oh, that person has a bad posture, or I need to work on my posture. Well, the interesting thing to understand about posture is where does it start? And believe it or not, our posture and our structure starts while we're in the womb. I must say, there is a very well known Nobel Prize laureate by the name of Hans Selye. And he is the reason I began to focus my work from the day one that I began to try to address these issues. He said, next slide, please, that the mere fact that our structure will one day determine our health or our disease.
Mhm.
So imagine where this possibly starts. It starts in the womb. So if you're lying in your mother's womb in utero, the only option you would have would be lying on your right side or your left side. So that particular positioning, if you're lying on your right side, right next to your mom's belly, the opportunity as a growing infant in utero, you're going to actually kick more often with what leg? Next slide.
Next slide.
There it is. There is the infant in utero. So if you're lying on your actual right side, you're going to kick more often with your left leg. The multiple times of kicking with that left leg is going to create this building of a muscle, the strength of a muscle that will be so much greater on the left side. So you go to take your first step, and you'll see it in infants. Their very first step, you will find that they will struggle and struggle to lift that left leg a little bit higher. And that's where the struggle of walking is until eventually they realize if I lift my left leg a little bit higher, guess what? I won't fall. So that aspect is actually our issue because the actual longer leg is going to be a problem.
Mhm.
Next slide. Doctors even claim that 9 out of 10 babes are born with an unequal leg. So if we have this unequal leg, think of building a house. If we were building a house, we wouldn't allow one side of the foundation to be different than the other. We would want to make sure it's level. And that same concept applies to us. But I can say, and some of you may have already have experienced this, that you find out from your health professional that you have a leg length discrepancy, and they will want to support the shorter leg. That may mean putting a lift in the shoe or using a special orthotic, but your your short leg is not the problem. And that's where a new paradigm is what I'm trying to help people to understand. Number one, it is crucial not to keep an unequal leg length. However, understanding that if it's a longer leg and doctors say 9 out of 10 babies have this, then we accept it as a norm. But in time, that particular longer leg, every time you step on ground, your hip on that longer leg side will have to appear higher. Well, a higher hip, now, guess what? It's going to compress the muscles between your rib cage and your hip. So imagine if you had an Oreo cookie and you had cream in the middle and you compress that cookie. Well, what's going to happen to the cream?
Comes out on the other side.
It's going to move to the other side. So guess what? We can wind up having a leg length discrepancy and then wind up with discomfort on the left side. And we think we got a left side problem. But the left is just saying, I can't help it. I'm getting nerves that are being irritated on the left because I got a longer right leg. And a longer leg creates a greater tilt in your pelvis. So, what do I mean by tilt? Think of creating a C in your hand,
Mhm.
meaning you have your index finger in the front and your thumb is in the back. And so you're making this positioning of like a C, like that. And when you have a longer leg, your index finger that's in the front
Mhm.
is going to be pulled down. That's where the longer leg comes from. You don't really have a longer leg. You got muscles that are too tight on that particular leg. And in this case, we had the example of a left longer leg.
Mhm.
So therefore, if you're pulled downward, that tilt means you have to go up in the back.
So doesn't that also mean that then other areas compensate for that?
What's going to be the compensation? When you go down in the front, that's the tilt.
Mhm.
You're going to go up in the back. So let's look at some examples how that tilt can happen. Number one, it could happen from a longer leg. Number two, it could happen from elevated shoes, like high heels.
Mm.
Whether it
Uh-oh.
be a high heel, whether it be a wedge,
Mhm.
all of that is creating a tilt for your pelvis to move more forward. So if you're going to go forward in the front, and we've already described that means you're going to go up in the back. So now you've shut off the nerves in the back. And the pelvic nerves, which are in that area for our gut, we're going to be shutting off nerve function to your kidneys, your bladder, your ovaries, your uterus, your colon, and down your legs.
Wow.
So when we have an issue in any of these organs, we don't tend to think structure first.
Mhm.
We just think, well, I got an issue in this area, so I need a pill. I need an antibiotic. But we haven't bothered to check and see structurally. And this is like I'm trying to develop these, like, daha. These are simple things to first check. Where is the structure? And if there is a tilt, it could be on both sides. It could be the right side could be tilted, and then the left side could be tilted even greater because it's being pulled greater in the front.
Okay.
So for men, they are not allowed to have a tilt.
That's correct.
The moment they tilt, you're guaranteed a prostate problem.
Mm.
For females, we are designed to tilt, but guess what? It could be 0 to 10 degrees. When you start going to 15 and 20, that is the reason why women, when they're carrying their infants in utero, if it tilts too far forward, it's going to create that discomfort in your back.
Mm.
Because it's the tilt that's causing the problem. So,
Okay.
looking at the fact that we don't want a longer leg,
Mhm.
we want to stabilize our legs to be even. So, we're not broken, even though that's the way we're born.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a way to understand how each one of us can correct
Oh,
an
so it is
imbalance.
it is fixable.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right.
Okay. But it means challenging the nervous system consistently every night.
Mhm.
The next slide, please. Look at this layer here. This is your lower back. L1 standing for your lumbar, first one, and we have 5 vertebrae. So Those are the muscles that are on the lumbar L1 all the way down to past L5 to S1.
Mhm.
So on that left side, when those muscles between the hip and the rib get shorter, they're going to compress that particular part of your spine, causing issues on that left side. With that kind of tension, and let's say you have a fall, or unfortunately, hopefully, you're not in an accident, but if so, you go to your doctor and he says, well, you have a herniation at L2. Well,
Mhm.
if you already got this tension in your spine, you're creating that herniation by having that kind of compression.
Compression. Ah.
So a herniation doesn't just start, it gets put deeper into an issue when we have an accident. The more we keep our legs perfectly even, we are able to have accidents and bounce back. But if we are constantly allowing our body to stay in a dysfunctional mode when we have accidents, those accidents are pushing that dysfunction to a deeper area of pain and discomfort.
So, Salvatore, I have a question. What if you have an athlete and they have suffered an injury? Um, they would be experiencing the same thing, would they not?
Yes, they would, because there are some athletes that decide to make sure they're balanced before they do a marathon.
Mhm.
And there are some athletes that are already at a dysfunction, and then whatever their choice of sport can push them in the edge to injury. Yes,
Mm. Okay.
I think it's so important. The weekend warriors, people that like to walk, our top athletes that are going to the Olympics, if they are constantly making sure that their leg length is balanced, you cannot have a knee issue. You cannot
Mm.
have a torqued tendon. It cannot happen because the stress is not there.
Oh.
When the stress is there on a daily basis, and then you do a athletic function,
Mhm.
that puts that stress of that area more to an issue. I can tell you, anyone experiencing a leg length discrepancy, and let's say in this case, like we're saying, it's a left longer leg, you're guaranteed to have a knee problem. And you
Mm.
walk around and say, I got a bad knee. No, you have a knee that now is compromised, because I know it's kind of hard to think that if I have a longer leg, I must have longer muscles. No,
No.
a longer leg means the muscle is twice as
Twice
tight.
as tight. Mhm.
Yeah.
Got it.
So this is a whole nother thing to think of, why we have discomfort. The nervous system, its only English is pain,
Mhm.
and it's trying to tell you there's something wrong. So taking a pill, you're not Tylenol deficient. You know, taking a pill does not solve the problem.
Mhm.
And I know there are some individuals who will take different kinds of muscle relaxants, but it's important to try to think of first, are my legs even?
Mm.
That
That's
should
good.
be, that's if you just would say that to yourself, and try to work on that, because it can be done. Most recently, I have a client that's come in. She's been seeing me for about 3 months. She's going on 80, and she has perfectly aligned legs, but she was at a dysfunction for many years. And if you don't correct an unequal leg length, after the child makes their first few steps, by the time they're 13, they're diagnosed with scoliosis. Well,
Mm.
what is scoliosis? It's an unequal leg length. And then over time, it winds up to be a herniated disc. Over time, it becomes a problem with the uterus and conception. Over time, it becomes an actual stroke. because the compensation of a longer leg will generate less function of blood to the brain.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Samraj, we have a question to come in.
Sure.
Can we address that?
Okay, go right ahead.
The question is, I lift heavy weights. How can I get posture and protect my body?
When you're working out in the gym and lifting weights, I can only visualize this, but I'm visualizing lifting weights, which causes an extreme strengthening of your quads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is necessary if you're lifting weights. However, when you have finished your workout, it should be a standard concept to go to the equipment and do the posterior aspect of your legs last. See, we tend to just, throw off. You'll never lift the weight in the back the way you are in the front. And what happens is that individuals, if they can pump 200, well, they should be able to do 100 for that at the back. No, the the muscles are a little bit weaker, but they still need to have their integrity enough to keep the quads in check. But you have to determine, this is what I would suggest, if you are demonstrating a leg length discrepancy, that the equipment that you're going to use for the back of your legs at the end of your workout, it's okay if you've already done back of the leg workout during the workout, that's fine. But no, at the end you got to do it again. It's the last thing you want to tell your nervous system that, well, let's face it, the hamstrings are the underdog. They'll never be as strong as the front, but they need to get the last word. So if you're on the equipment that allows you to work the back of the leg and you know that you have a leg length discrepancy, the only way you can assist and correct that function is knowing which, number one, which leg is longer. You're on the equipment, and let's say in this case, we said it's the left leg. So both of your legs are on the equipment to work the back of the legs. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know there are some gyms that you can put both of your legs on this equipment and you're bringing your heel to your butt. So anytime you're bringing your heel to your butt, you are working the back of the legs.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, we said it's the left leg that's longer. So both of your legs are on the equipment. So what you would do is the right leg would do the work. The left is going for the right. So whatever number that you're bringing your heel to your butt on that right side, and let's say you determine it's 10, fine. When you're done with that right side, now the right is going to go for the right, the left, which is a longer leg, and it needs more work in the back. So you'll do 20 times. We're not talking about increasing the weight, it's the same weight, but you're doing double the amount on the left side. And every time you finish your workout, you are retraining that left leg to to get strong enough in the back so that it can equalize itself to the right leg.
Okay, we have
Mhm.
another question.
Sure.
I'm not sure if when you're at this point, but what is the best food for your gut?
Well, we're going to get to that in
Okay.
regards to right now. I think a lot of us are hearing about probiotics.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody think I got a probiotic, I do, and I got this probiotic, and I use this probiotic. If you really want to understand the gut and how we protect it with food, colostrum is the food that really truly protects the gut.
Mm.
And if I were to make a comparison, and I'm building a house, colostrum is the floor, probiotic is the furniture.
Mm.
So,
Oh, that's good.
so,
That's good.
so,
Okay.
yeah, so that's the difference. And you need colostrum for a good 3 months by itself. Then you can do colostrum and add probiotic, but you don't want to do probiotic until you have really solidified colostrum in your diet.
So what you're saying is colostrum is the foundational
Correct.
piece.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
there's another question, and I think you have another slide to go,
Yeah,
but
next slide, please. So we were talking about from that compression, you could notice that you're going to affect your kidneys, your bladder, your ovaries, your uterus, your colon. All that's going to be compromised with reduced nerve function whenever we are compromised with an unequal leg length.
mm,
So all of this, all these organs are crying for help if you can take that stress neurologically off of the spine. See, we can't see the spine. It's in the back of us. We
right.
know it's there, but we don't know what positioning it is. So when your legs are off, it's going to cause this compromising uh, torque in your spine.
Wow.
And when it torques, there's compression. So you've got height and possibly rotation
Mhm.
and tilt. So you got the elevation of the hip if it's a
Wow.
longer leg, you've got the rotation if it's pulling too much in the front, and you've got the issue of being compressed in the back.
There's a lot going on there. And
Yeah, it is. And that's why we need to think of that first. And
mhm.
if we're diligent, believe me, if you're diligent on a simple exercise we're going to give you to do every single night, you will notice how you discharge
Mm.
the energy of your nervous system that says, every night before you go to sleep.
Mm.
You will feel that ah, relaxation moment because your body has to oppose gravity. When you stand up, all those muscles that are not functioning properly have to work harder. And when they're working harder, that fatigues you sooner.
Wow.
So, all of this stuff that we're talking about is helping to get the gut to the place so that you can feel solid and secure.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So, this is an opportunity to kind of possibly uh, determine if you have a longer leg. And that requires you to possibly stand in front of a mirror and place your fingertips straight ahead. And when your fingers are straight ahead, your thumb is curled under those fingers. So you're actually hiding your thumbs. So the fingers are straight, the thumb is hidden underneath your fingers, and you place one hand on each top of the hip. And that's movement will help you to determine which is your longer leg.
Mm.
The higher the hip, the longer the leg. Now, if you don't have a mirror to stand in front of right now, another option would be if you have a mirror to stand up and see if you could see one shoulder higher than the other. You're standing in a mirror. If we said your left leg, if you were lying on the right side, that would mean your left leg would be longer. If you stood up in a mirror, guess what? You would see your right shoulder higher. That will tell you and confirm that you have a longer left leg.
Okay.
Next slide, please.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So, this is how we were going to probably help you find out how you could correct this. Since you may have an idea, and it could be a lot, it could be a little bit.
Mhm.
Either way, it has to be perfectly even. So if you determine, and our suggestion here was the right leg being a shorter leg,
Right.
okay? If everyone is just sitting down in their in a seat, a chair, I want them to let their body weight of their foot be just the heel on the floor.
Mhm.
And then take their hands and place it on their thigh, pinching it. So if you're pinching the muscles of your thigh and you could feel your heel on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
I want to suggest that you feel like you take that pinch and pull it toward your head.
Mm.
Keep pulling that pinch toward your head. Now, the heel part, I want you to imagine you've got chewing gum on your heel. So you have to really keep the toes up and drag that heel toward the back, to where you're sitting. And then let it go and let that heel come back out in front of you again. But I want your hand to find a new place to pinch. And again, bringing that heel, you got chewing gum on it, and you've got to really scrape it really hard, pulling that muscle toward you, and then keep your hand where it is. Put that heel out again. So obviously, you're going to do only 4 times of that movement on your right side. So we've done 2. I want you to go ahead and continue to do 2 more with
And
that
so,
same concept.
sovereignty, excuse
Yeah.
me, what is this called? This,
I will explain what it's called.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But I want you to actually do the exercise
Uh-huh.
4 times on the right side.
Okay.
Because we just gave an example. They may know if your longer leg is really the right, you're going to do those 4 times on the left.
Mm.
I was just going by the example that we gave. So I don't know if they were able to see that they had a longer leg on which side, but believe me, it won't hurt you if you do the wrong leg.
Okay. So so you would you like to have the slide up or no?
This just is again
Okay.
determining what's going on with the
Okay.
fact that they're having a leg length discrepancy, and we
Mhm.
can't fix it. And that's what we're doing now. And this particular exercise is called the drag and squeeze.
Mhm.
And what you're doing is squeezing those quad muscles in the front, pulling towards your head.
Mhm.
Keep your hand on that pinch, and you're taking your heel. If you were lying down in bed, you would bend the knee and really think about chewing gum on my heel, so you can imagine how much pressure
Yes.
you're putting into the bed. And then you would let your leg come down. No pressure is on the heel. You straighten the leg with no pressure and then do it again. So we're saying on the short leg,
Mhm.
that's the leg we do first,
Yes.
only 4 times.
Mhm.
Now on the longer leg, you're going to do 8 times. Next
So
slide,
you
please.
you double. Okay.
Next slide. And this is done. This exercise is called the drag and squeeze. The one thing, the couple of things I want to remind you of is that when you're squeezing your muscles of your front of your leg, you are in contact with flesh of your leg. I try to explain to individuals like, we can't really use a cell phone with gloves on. So it's the same kind of
It's a
concept.
concept. Yes.
So you're keeping a connection neurologically by having your hands directly on skin. So
mm.
if you're wearing your pajamas, you got to just, you know, nighty, you got to move it out of the way so that you're on flesh.
Okay.
Okay.
Good point.
And the concept too is no pressure on the heel going down.
Mhm.
It's only up. So when you go straighten your leg, the heel does not contact the surface. You have a straight leg, and think of the chewing gum again. Toes are up, and you're really dragging that heel as you squeeze the muscles of your thigh.
Mm. So, Salvatore, could this be something that could be done prior to, let's say, if you were doing Zumba or a, a dance class? Would this be something that you would recommend for people to do before the
It would
activity?
it wouldn't hurt, but it's a neurological relaxing exercise. So the
Mm,
reason why it is suggested to do at night is that it will allow your whole nervous system to let go. And you'll find there will be individuals that actually do all kinds of herbal melatonin, all this kind of stuff for sleep. I have more of my people, she said, girl, I can't even finish the other side. I'm gone to sleep already.
okay, so
Okay.
it's a
It's a
night nighty
yeah, it's a night exercise.
exercise. Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, this is a description again of doing the same thing that we described, keeping your toes up with pressure only on the heel.
Hmm.
And there's no pressure when you go back down. And you're going to do 4 times on the short leg. Just think of the short leg is needing attention, but
Hmm.
it's the right leg or the longer leg that needs the
The correction.
correction.
Ah, like it.
All right. All
Yes.
right. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, when we talk about trusting your gut, we have to also take in consideration uh, some of the emotions and traumas any of us have been through,
Hmm.
uh, and understand how they are deep. We can try to hide them, we
Hmm.
can try to avoid them. However, in trusting our gut, we need to address them.
Hmm.
So it's not always sometime about popping the pill, you know? It's like if there are people that will say that I had this disagreement with my mom, and she's no longer here, and they deep inside wish that certain things may not have been said. You need to go through and clear that up
Mm.
because it's a deep wound, and no matter how many fantastic nutrients you're taking, if you don't address these issues, they linger and create problems that you can't really see, but you know they're there. And I know it's a lot to kind of take in consideration of that, but I try to help people to understand I don't need to know what's going on, but they need to understand that there are ways that you can clear that kind of energy.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean paying for a psychologist on a couch, all right? Uh, there is a very well known doctor that was around in the 1940s, and he was the very first one that I studied, which was Dr. Bach,
Mhm.
B A C H. Dr. Bach was a well known physician, and he noticed in working with people, he would have Susie come in, and Susie, oh, everybody had to hug Susie. Susie had the flu, but that was why she was there. But oh, Johnny comes in, he's got the flu too. Johnny don't want to be touched. He says, well, why is it these two people, they come in my office,
Same
they display two different emotions, but they got the same illness.
illness. Mhm.
So what if we were to address the emotion and that would take care of the flu?
Hmm.
And when he was ready to retire, now Dr. Bach was from London, and that's where he closed his office up. He surrounded himself with wild vegetation, and in doing so, he was attracted to various different flowers, herbs, plants, but he never destroyed the plant. He was well ahead of his time that he would take the morning dew off of a plant, off of a flower, and use that essence to help neutralize an emotion.
Mm.
Now, we all know that when a person's in the hospital, can you imagine how much fear sometimes they go through? Fear is an emotion that's in your kidneys.
Mm,
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that people's kidneys they shut down first.
mm,
So fear is okay. It's just that when we get stuck in any emotion, whether it's anxiety, whether it's guilt, whether it's suicidal, whether it's controlling, whether it's resentful, it ain't good to hold on to it.
mm,
You could try to cover it up, put it down behind something, still there.
yes.
So Dr. Bach allowed us to go through that emotion. Uh, my perfect example is there was something my husband would do it sometimes, and it would just drive me crazy. And I said to myself, well, why is I letting that drive me crazy? So I decided to use Dr. Bach, and I did it for about 2 or 3 weeks. And in about 3 weeks, it was like whatever he said or did, it was like, well, what's it? It doesn't even bother me anymore because I neutralized my connection
Fiction. Hmm.
to that emotion.
Yes.
And so it's just a way to help people understand there is ways out there. Uh, uh, I knew the gentleman that brought Dr. Bach's remedies to the United States in
Hmm.
the late 70s, and he had a 25-year um, exclusive rights to bring them to the United States. And when he did, it was just around the time that Star Wars, and people kind of expanding their consciousness. But it was, I think, a little too soon because you don't have to take Dr. Bach internally. And
Mm,
we're so used to everything we got to take it internally.
really? Yeah.
No, you could put this on if you had a feeling of anxiety. You could put this on like perfume. Every time you got that anxiety feeling, you could put it on. And then one day, what used to make you have anxiety, you'll look at it and say, that ain't nothing.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. That's it.
So, in regards to emotions, we have them all. We have grief in our lungs if we're grieving about something that we haven't really gone through. Um, if we're dealing with anger, it's in the liver. So, all of our major organs can hold on to certain emotions. And if you know what you may want to consider, Dr. Bach has 38 different emotions. Can you imagine a person putting themselves into that state consistently enough to be attracted to the plant, the flower, the herb, to neutralize it? Now, there have been a lot of other companies that have come on board since Dr. Bach revealed his work. All I can say is he was my first, and I have used his work, but there may be other choices out there that people may see that they might want to try, uh, but I know his stuff really, really works,
Okay.
and it's worth considering if you want to really understand taking care of your gut. That he could be a first step.
Okay.
There's a 38, and so look at. I mean, you could look at 38 and said, "I need 37 of these."
Yes.
But look at it and then say, maybe what are my first top 3,
Hmm.
and work with those and see how it changes. And then you work on it continuously on other emotions so that things can just flow off your back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide, please.
Okay.
And it's just another way to emphasize how important emotions are.
Hmm.
And if we don't address them, they will eat at us,
Yes.
you know? So emotions of our nervous system needs relaxation.
Yeah.
And next slide, please. So the major nutrient in helping us to relax is magnesium. And it is the most one of the most important minerals that we burn out when we have stress.
Mhm. That's true.
So it's almost thinking of if you have a bank account and you're always making a deposit, you're not you're not worried about your balance because you're always making a deposit, right?
Mhm.
Well, if you're not taking magnesium and you're dealing with stress, you are shutting down so many systems in your body and you wonder why things are not working.
Mm. That's real.
Magnesium, it balances your blood sugar. Magnesium, it produces hydrochloric acid so you can digest food.
Mm.
It helps to build a healthier heart. It helps to build a stronger bloodstream. It helps to build bone.
Mhm.
So it's one of those minerals, but you got to know what kind to take. And I know when people say that, I'm out here, I'm taking magnesium. But if you're taking a magnesium that's feeding your body, it will not be making you run to the bathroom.
Mm.
So a magnesium that makes you go to the restroom. And I know people are saying, well, that's good. Well, no, that's a magnesium. Your body says, what the heck is this? Get it out of here.
Mhm.
It's not feeding the many enzymatic functions that magnesium offers. And there's over 300 of them. I'm just naming, to me, if I'm going to be eating, and I love eating, I want to be able to digest that protein of what I'm eating.
That's true. Yep.
Okay. And people will pop a Nexium Pepsid for digesting when it takes magnesium out of your body.
Mm.
So if you start now, of course, I know it's going to be difficult when you start taking magnesium, but if it says one on the bottle, take one. When you start these different things, you got to be slow and steady. And it doesn't mean you're going to catch up in a week.
Mhm.
So if you're just slow and steady, you'll begin to feel where it will begin to kick in and feel the different things that the body needs. If you have an issue with circulation and you're taking magnesium, well, the body's not it's going to work with circulation first. It has its own priority. You can't push that, but if you're just slow and steady, consistent,
Okay.
you'll get to that point. Now there's magnesium citrate. I would not suggest because it's ones that your body cannot really process well. And there's magnesium oxide. The two of them, I wouldn't put that on my list to take on a daily basis. However, magnesium to deal with stress, normal stresses that you're dealing throughout the day, that would be in the morning, malate. Magnesium to regenerate the nervous system is glycinate at night. So when you know which ones to take, as I'm just suggesting, you'll be able to decide from your usage how much that's over time is going to help you. And believe me, magnesium is a must for your neurological connection. Next slide.
I think you
That's why
touched
I
on
said,
that. Yep,
yeah.
you touched on
hmm
that. Yep.
Now, interesting enough about magnesium, it's very important to understand when our body pumps out blood from the heart. It's kind of hard to imagine this, but can you believe it is 3 million red blood cells every second? Every second. And what's in that blood is iron and oxygen. When your magnesium is too low, iron will stay in tissue. Iron is not supposed to be in tissue. Iron is only supposed to be in the bones to produce more red blood cells or in the blood. So if it ain't in the blood and it's in the tissue, you go to the doctor and he says, let's drip through your blood for this office visit. And he finds that your iron is low. Low because iron ain't in the blood, it's in tissue. So then they're suggesting to take more iron. No, you don't need to take iron. You need to increase your magnesium so then iron won't want to go to tissue. It's just filling a space. So keep that in mind.
Hmm.
Iron is not what you want to take when it shows up low in the blood because it's hanging out somewhere else. Okay, magnesium can also, as well as copper, they work together to bring iron out of tissue. And copper is from organ meat. Young kids these days, they can't go down to the corner McDonald's and get liver on a bun, can they?
No, they don't know what they're missing. Okay.
Okay, so it's so important to realize that we have to start getting into more organ meat. However, you can do it either via, capsule. That's a good way to get some of the organ meats that we need today. Um, and I think it's probably a lot easier. The other mention here is vitamin C. If you're taking a vitamin C that is a scorbic or ascorbate, it is a synthetic C made from corn syrup. You need to do a C that is really a C that is made from whole food.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Cod liver oil. So important. It's
Yep.
an we have to have that to support magnesium and copper. Organ meats, as I mentioned here, are so helpful. And there's an opportunity that we can also get organ meats through spices. They actually are putting dried liver in garlic as you use garlic for your seasoning. Next
Okay.
slide. All righty. So this is a suggestion about working with colostrum. And colostrum is an actual from a cow that has uh, nurtured the calf for 3 days, and after that, they have no use for that. So they have developed and cold pressed and dried it for us for our use. It helps to build the immunoglobulins that we need in our gut. All right. And it helps to take care of that iron that could build up in the gut.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we need to go to the next slide.
Uh huh. If there are any questions,
I think we. Wow. I'm so impressed, Savitri, of all the nuggets that you gave us tonight. And I want to thank everybody that has attended this presentation for Finer Womanhood. I've even had a request for copies of this. So, if there's no questions, I just want to thank you for joining us for this Finer Womanhood wellness experience. May these nuggets guide you towards mobility, vitality, and alignment in 2026 and an even better you in 2027. Have a great evening and thank you for joining us.